Hi everyone, and welcome to our Object2VR 4 pop-ups webinar. My name's Martin, I'm from support, and I'll be joined today by...
Hi, my name is Karen, and I'm going to be helping out in the background.
Okay, so in the screen then you can see what we produced last webinar. It was create a skin with our object image, and we had some buttons, and it was all responsive, so as we changed it, the buttons changed and things got smaller and whatnot. So what we're doing is building on this, and we're giving this some hotspots. Okay, so what I'd like to do, though, he says, is if we open up the last project, because this webinar, as well as obviously creating pop-ups, point hotspot pop-ups, we want to introduce the concept of variables and custom properties, which Object2VR 3 never had. Now last week, or not last week, but last webinar, we introduced placeholders and logic blocks. So this is very much building on that and giving you a little bit more or more tools to your armament. So let's just open up the skin editor and let's double click, and this is what we had last time round. We had an information pop-up, and we had a button, and what it was the information pop-up. If we have a look at its properties, the visible was deselected, so it was hidden by default, and the button had a very basic action of mouse click visibility to toggle it. So this hide and showed the button. So if I click on the skin preview, you can see that working. What we want to do now is get this to work, but with variables. Now, to get to the variables, or to add variables to a skin, we first need to get to the skin's properties, and you do that by clicking anywhere in the skin canvas. And as soon as we do that, you'll see that the properties panel changes, and you get things like the canvas width and height and grid, and there's some other little bits and pieces in there. Interesting to note though that with the canvas size, it's not overly important that it has to match an output. As long as your anchoring is correct, then it's fine. It doesn't matter how big this is. So as an example, if I had a rectangle, then anchor it top right hand corner. If I go to the preview and then change its shape and size, you'll see that that rectangle is always there, regardless of how big this is. So it's not overly important how big the skin canvas is going to be. Also, whilst I'm here at the moment, you'll notice that every time I touch a key on my keyboard, so N, B, you'll see it's appearing here. I'm on the Mac, so when I do keyboard shortcuts, as an example, copy and paste. So copy for me would be Command C, paste would be Command V. On the PC, that would be Control C, Control V. So when you're looking or playing back the video of this, or you're working through with us, if you see a command, it's a control whilst you're on the PC. Okay, so with that all said then, what we want to do is add a variable. Now, this is our variable, or the location where we add variables in the skin. So to add a variable, you just double click, and it starts off with VAR1, it's a number, and you get some information here. What I'm going to do is, you can use any name you like, but I like to use a naming convention. As an example, if I want to hide and show something, so it's visibility, I'll always start it off with a viz underscore, and as this is going to be for the information, I'll type in info. And so that's how I would name that particular variable, and then I can reference that through when I'm building the skin. Now this particular variable, it's going to be a true false, or what's known as a boolean. We can have a variable that uses numbers or text, but in this case I just want a true and false, and we can set whatever the default's going to be. I'm going to leave it at false because I'm going to want the pop-up hidden by default, and then we use the button to show it. Okay, so I've created a variable in the skin. All right. Now variables are great because they're global. So something you do in a variable will affect any other elements that also have this variable used in, say, a logic block or whatever. This will all become apparent as we move on. So if I go to the info pop-up now, here it is. See, under visibility, we have our logic block button here. If I click that, you'll see that I can now select under variables, and you'll see we've only got the one, viz info, because that's all we've done so far. And we're going to say when viz info equals true, we're going to set that to true. In other words, it's going to become visible. So visible equals true. All right, cool. So what we need to do now is a way of changing that variable value. So again, we're going to go to the information button, and then you can see here that this is the action we had last time. Rather than just creating or just altering that one, editing it, to keep it nice and clear, what we're going to do is just delete the action and start again. So we're going to say mouse click, and then we have the action of set variable value, and then it's only got one variable, so vis info, and I have the operation of equals. We've got several things down here. Again, it's all covered in documentation, but the two that are quite important today will be the equals and the not. The not one I'm going to change it to. The not, basically, whatever the value is, on click it will change it. So you could say it's a toggling action, okay? So that's what the not is. So that's going to give this the action to toggle that variable value. Now, if I open up the skin preview, you can see now that when I click it, it is toggling. Now, how do we know it's working with a variable? Well, I'm going to introduce a little concept. It's called my helper text boxes. I'm just going to grab one and stick it in the skin, stick it anywhere. I'm going to right button click and give it a color of orange, so I know that anything in orange I need to delete before I produce my last output. And what I'm going to get this text box to do is, if I highlight the text, we've got a insert placeholder. Now, in the last webinar, we talked about placeholders. What they do is they grab information from elsewhere and then display it or use it in another place. So what we're doing here is saying we're going to insert the variable value into that text box so we can see what it's doing. So if we open it up, you can see it's false. When I click the button, it goes to true. When it's true, it shows the pop-up. Now, obviously, the pop-up's got no information because the skin itself or the skin preview is not connected to the project where it has all the text. That's why it's not fully populated, but you can see that you've got that working the way that we want there. Okay, and as it's orange and it's a helper, I can just delete it and get rid of it. It is purely just there for us to see that logic working. Okay, so this is the information pop-up, now using variables to hide and show. What I also want to introduce is another variable. Now I'm going to call this hide underscore all. Now this is a clever little variable, this one, and I'll tell you why in a second. So if I had to put this to true, false, and again it's set to false. Basically what I want to do is, actually I'll move that around, sorry, I've just pushed out there. I'll put it down. I want all the visible ones at the top. You can actually stack and order things here to make it clear for yourself. But basically what I want to do here is the actual skin contains buttons and controllers. And what I want to do is when I open the info box, I want to hide everything apart from the logo. The logo is advertising for the company, so that needs to be prominent in the corner. I want that to happen. But when I open up a pop-up, I want the pop-up to be the center of focus. Therefore, everything else can be hidden. So like the buttons and the info button itself and everything else. Okay, so this will do this automatically for me, and not only for this info pop-up, but it's going to work for all of the hotspot pop-ups as well. So setting it out to start with and thinking about how the project is going to work is, you know, is a good thing, because I'm thinking in my head, I've got hotspots. When I click a hotspot, I want all the hotspots to hide, I want all the controller to hide, I want everything to hide apart from the logo, because that's my advertising, or the company's advertising. So the only thing visible, center of focus, is the thing that's popped open. Okay, so that's that. Now, what I also want to do here is I'm going to use this tool. This is the rectangle tool. I'm going to draw a rectangle, because what I'm going to create is a screen tint. Because obviously when the pop-up's visible, I want to hide, not hide, but I want to dull down the information behind it. So the actual object image itself, I want to sort of fade it out a little bit. Again, bringing focus to the pop-up. And the way I'm going to do that is if I anchor it top left, if I double click where it says position, it will send it to where the anchoring position is. If I was to anchor it in the center and double click it, you'll see it would go to the center. But I want it top left, double click, put it there. I want it to cover 100% of the window, so I'm setting the size to percentage, and we're going to do 100 by 100%. And what I'm going to do going down is I want the background color enabled, but I'm probably going to change that to an alpha of say 150. And as soon as I do that, you'll see that it turns sort of semi-transparent. I'm going to get rid of the border width. I don't really need a border around this because we're just using this to cover things. Now, what this does show me is that this rectangle is at the top of the tree. Anything at the top of the tree is more forward. Now, of course, what I want is the info and logo to be in front of this rectangle. So I can drag that rectangle down to here, and I'm going to give this rectangle the name of screen tint. Now, you can do that either by double clicking on the name here, or you can actually have gone up here and edited the name there, but it's far quicker just to do it here. Now, with this screen tint, okay, it's visible all the time. I'm going to deselect its visibility, and I'm going to select the variable hide all when that's true to show it. All right, and you think, okay, so how is that being triggered? Well, let's go back into the variable list, because now we've created a variable called visinfo. There is actually a logic block under the hide all. All right, so what we're going to say here is under the variable visinfo, if that equals true, then I want that to be true. So this visinfo actually needs a button or some sort of action to influence its state, false, true or false. But with this particular variable, because we're using its logic block, it's actually looking at the state of this variable. So it's saying that when that one's true, then I'm going to show. I hope that makes sense. But obviously this is to show it with the screen tint. What I'm also going to do is give it the action of mouse click, set the variable value, and I want that to equal false. Now what I'm going to do is go back to the information button, because we said we were going to do the not, which is a toggle. I don't need that. I just need that to be true. So I'm going to go equals, and I'm going to set that value to be true. Okay, so what we should have now is when I click this, we get the screen tint show, we get the info box show, and the screen tint is covering the buttons. But when I click the screen tint, it will send the variable back to false. There you go. So that's now doing that, and we're covering the buttons here. Now, I did say I don't want any of the buttons showing. So this is where this other little variable comes in handy. So with the information button, I'm going to go to its visible, and I'm going to say, with the variable hide all, when that's true, visible false. So when the information pop-up's showing, this will hide. I'm going to do the same thing with this controller. Now this particular project has two controllers. If you remember, or if you were with us on our last webinar, we had controllers to change from a desktop to a mobile controller. So that's why there's two controllers there, and it was working on screen width. So if we look at the visibility of this, we had a logic block that said if the player width was equal to or less than 600 pixels, it would hide, and then the mobile one would have something similar to show. But what we want to do is it to be hidden whenever the variable hide all shows. So basically what we're going to say is when the player width is equal to and less than 600 pixels, or if the hide all is true, it is going to show, because that's an or. It's one or the other. So technically speaking then, when we click this, that all hides, and the only thing visible is going to be our information pop-up, and that's it. And we can click the screen tint to get rid of it. Now what I'm also going to do here is I'm going to select the screen tint and info box, and I'm going to set the cursor to hand, because I want our viewers to be able to see the hand cursor to see that it's interactive. Now of course if I click on the info box, it's not, it hasn't got an action, but the screen tint has. So that's an easy fix. Basically I go to the screen tint, I can just copy, go to info, Command V, paste, and now that has that action. Just to prove it, I'll cursor down and you'll see it pasted there. We're going to be doing a lot of copy and pasting. We're going to spend a bit of time on this and on our first point hotspot, but then from there onwards we do a lot of copy and pasting, and all of a sudden, boom, we've got a skin that's built and does loads of things. Right, I'm just going to finish this off, and then what I'm going to do is call for Karen just to see if we've got any questions. But let me just get to the finish of this, because what we need to do is on the mobile one we need to hide and show it. So if I go to mobile, we go to the mobile logic block. Now this one's going to have to be slightly different, because what this is saying is when the player width is below 600 it needs to show. Okay, so we need to think about how we're implementing this hide all logic, because what we're saying is that this has to be false. All right, so what we're saying is if player width is less than 600 and hide all is false, we will see it. All right, think about it. So if I click this button and we send it to true, this is no longer, and so it's just going to hide. All right, so let's see that in operation. So on the desktop controller we can hide and close. If I go to the mobile controller, we can hide and close. There you go. So that's basically the logic we've given the pop-up window from our last webinar, or info from our last webinar, giving it the logic blocks and variables to make it a little bit more interesting. There we go. And it's hiding the controllers and buttons, and it's making the pop-up that little bit more standing out, if you know what I mean. Right, okay, on that happy little note, I'll throw it over to Karen. Karen, do we have any questions?
Hi. No, we're okay so far, so I think you can keep going.
Right, okay, cool. All right, so that's that. What I want to do now then, let's just have a look on my list, on my hit list. Right, so let's go back to the skin, and what we're going to do now is introduce how we're going to create a hotspot, and I'm going to start off with an image hotspot. Now, on our very first webinar, we actually showed adding hotspots, because with Object2VR, what you have to do is define a hotspot, set it all up, and then create different instances of it as you rotate the object. But what was quicker to do was to just drag and drop an image or a URL or something directly in the viewer, and it did two things. It created the first instance of the hotspot and set the hotspot up for you. So we're going to copy that. If you want to know how to do it manually, please revert back to the first webinar we did with Object2VR 4, because we created some hotspots to use with a standard skin that had everything in the skin editor that we're building now, but it had it all there for you just to use. Okay, so what I'm going to do is open up this container, or rather this folder, and I'm going to look at this image here for the underseat storage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select one of my images to start with. So let's just, I don't know, let's probably start with that one. All right, and what I need to do now then is just grab the image, drag and drop, and you'll see it creates a hotspot. Now when we do that, it's done two jobs, as I said. One, it's already set it up as being a type of image. It's already given us the skin ID of HT_image. This is important because the hotspot in the skin will need to have the same ID, so these link together. And it's already put the file name in. So all I have to do now is give it the title. So let's underseat storage. Yeah, I'll do.
You can get rid of that E there.
Yeah, I was going to say that E's wrong, isn't it? Right. Underseat storage. Right. Okay. Cool. Thank you, Karen. If you spot anything else, please come in. I feel like I'm flying on my own at the moment because there's no questions, which is very unusual. It's either everyone's hyper intelligent or no one's understanding a word I'm saying. So either way.
No, I think you're good. You're
right.
well.
Okay. So that's the hotspot. So we've defined a hotspot. We've just dragging and dropping it. So what I need to do now is I can use the keyboard buttons to just start to rotate, and I can start to just double click and add my points. What I'm also going to do is deselect this so I can see the history hotspots, ghost hotspots, history hotspots. You can just about probably see them inside this green circle. But basically, that's given me an idea of where the last hotspot was placed. The idea with this is you can try and smooth out. So you're going to try and keep it in line so they're not jumping up and down as it rotates. All right, so that's just the reason why we're using those. So I've just defined that one. There we go. Just carry around. Of course, what this is doing is defining the hotspot, but of course there's nothing in the skin to display it. That's what our next task is, to build that. So that's our hotspots defined. If I look at the hotspot list, it's hidden itself under here. But what I can also do is undock it and dock it back in, and then I can switch between the two. So it's nice and clear for you guys to look at as well. So you can see I've defined a point hotspot type. It's 0.01 and it's got a title of under seat storage. Okay, cool. So that's the hotspot defined. What we've got to do now is build the necessary bits in the skin to display this. Okay, so let's go back to this. I've actually forgotten to do something. He says, I'm going to jump back because I have seriously forgotten to do something, which was the whole point of this webinar, which was custom properties. And I forgot to put in a custom property for the user data because I wanted to add it to this info box. If we have a look at the info box, so let's have a look at this. You can see we've got some text there, but what I wanted to add was, say, a price and color, and I wanted to do that via the project and not in the skin, because I could quite have easily typed that into the skin, but if I wanted to use the skin for another project, I'd physically have to go in and edit it and type in the price, and where you can use custom properties to do this. So yes, I know I've just added a point hotspot, but this bit I'm doing now comes before that. All right, so sorry about that, but yeah, it's my brain's racing because I want to get this. So
The good news is that the cool thing with the Object2VR is that it's not linear. You can go back and change things, and it's not going to mess up the whole project.
No, absolutely. And when you got someone like me, you need that.
Me too.
Right. Okay. So if we go to, so if you click on the images, you get the properties. I'm clicking on the user data. Now you can see here what we did last time was put the title in and the description. We can click this little button here and we see all the text for the description. And we've got these custom properties. So what I'm going to do is click one, and I'm going to call this price, and then now it needs a variable name, because what this is actually going to do is add a variable into the skin to give us our data. Right, so I'm just going to call this price again, but lowercase, just so it's different. I'm going to leave it as a text variable, and I'll leave it with no information for the minute. All right, and I'm going to create another one, and let's just call this one, oh, hang on, fumbling with my fingers, right, color, and again, I'm just going to do the same, but lowercase. Again, it's going to be a text, and I'm going to leave it blank. The reason being is because I want, when I create these, I want it to be blank in the skin. I don't want any predetermined data in there, because now that I've added that, if I click on the skin button, watch what happens. It says custom properties from the project have been added as variables to the skin. And when we open it up and have a look at this, so let's just double click, open up the skin, you'll see that we've now got these two new variables that have magically appeared, and it shows you where they're coming from. The source is user data. That's what these pictures are depicting. All right, so we've now got two variables in the skin. Now, as we know, a variable has its own placeholders. So let's go back to the text box. All right, so we're in here. I'm just going to add, in here I can click on this button, which is your insert placeholder. It's coming from a variable, and it's going to be the price one. There we go. I'm just going to actually type in the word and colon before it, and then I'm going to do a carriage return and just do color, and then what I'm going to do is add the color placeholder in there as well. Okay, so what's actually going to happen now, you see that text is updated. what's going to happen now, let's save and export, is there's no data in there because I haven't added it. So as an example, with this skin, with all this set up, right, if you use this skin with another project, your project won't have these custom properties. So if I just delete this one, but what you would do is you can click the button here, create property from skin variable color, and it magically appears. So you can create all these custom properties and add it to your skin, but then we can reuse this skin for other projects, because I can just type in whatever price I want. So let's just say this, I know this scooter is going to be €8,500 and it's going to be white. Okay, so now that when we create the output, he says, you see it magically appears there. So this skin now can be used for other projects, and you just type in the details in the custom properties in the user data. So that's a use case for the custom properties, or the user data custom properties. Of course, you can have different, you can add as many as you want to have as many references in the skin as you want. That was the whole point of doing this. We can just carry on going. All right, so now that we've finished with that, and we've finished with the information pop-up, we're going to add a point hotspot, which we've done. So, okay, so let's head back to the skin then. And what I can do is start to hide some of this stuff. I don't need to see that. I can hide it in the skins tree. As you can see, I'm clicking away, hiding everything. It's only hiding it in the skins tree. It doesn't mean it's not going to show in the output. It does. It just means I'm cleaning up the skin canvas to do some more work and not be affected by it. Now, when we added the image hotspot, it had the default skin ID of HT_image. Okay. Now, what that's going to refer to is this thing. This is our hotspot template. I'm going to select that and just click and add it to the skins tree. Now, what this is, let's minimize this a bit. You can see we've got the hotspot we've defined. Okay. This is going to pin itself to that. So when we move the object around, this is going to be pinned to the point hotspot. Now, a hotspot template has got no size. It's like 0, 0 pixels. So therefore, what we've got to do is obviously give it an image to display. But for it to be pinned to that particular hotspot, this particular hotspot had a skin ID of HT_image. So that's what I'm going to call this. All right, so HT_image, and there it is. So this will now pin to that particular one. I'm going to add another hotspot later on for, say, I don't know, a PDF and a YouTube video. And of course, we want those particular hotspots to be pinned to, I don't know, HT_PDF. So those ones will be pinned there and everything else. But the good thing is once you've defined a pop-up, we can add multiple, we can just drag in more images, and this pop-up will work with those other images. We don't have to do anything else to the skin. It will just work. All right, so that's the hotspot template. Now we want to give it an image, so I'm going to click on this button up here, which is our components toolbox. Components are pre-built skin elements that do a job, but also we can have icons. Now I like the material icon set, so I am going to type in image. Double click, and I'm adding that to the skin. I'm going to call this, what am I going to call this? Icon image, right? And I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so we can see it, 40 by 40 pixels. And I want this to be centered on this hotspot template. Now, if I drag and drop that on there to make it a child of it, you'll see that they move together. They're not really on top of each other. What I can do is select the center anchor point, double click position. He says, no, wrong thing. Hang on, let's do that again. Center point for the image, double click position, and it will then sit on top in the center. All right, so let's back that up a bit. Actually, what I'll show you is, we've got this here, by the way. These are all the things I'm doing in the skin, and we can go back at any point. This is like a an undo, but it's an undo that goes right back until you save the skin. Once you've saved the skin, close it and open it again, this restarts. Okay, so but what we can do as a shortcut to this, as long as it's anchored in the center, if I hold down the Alt or Option key and drag it, that automatically puts it to the center. Okay, cool. We also want our hotspot that when we hover over it, show us a title. So I'm going to grab a text box, put it in there, and I'm going to do exactly the same thing. This time around I'm going to anchor it bottom center and drag it in over. You'll see that it's over there, and I'm going to bring it up by about 30 pixels, he says, and I'm going to call this TT for tooltip and image. All right, okay. A little bit of styling I'm going to do here. We want the background. I don't really need a border. The text I want it to display is going to be the hotspot title, so we're going to use our insert placeholder button and go to hotspots and title, and it automatically puts in the placeholder to pick up the hotspots title. Cool. If we cursor down a little bit more, I want the text to auto size, so the text box will now auto size to the amount of text, but it will fit quite snug. So I want to introduce some padding. Now I know I'm skipping over this fairly quickly because it is actually, let's just do all this. This is actually covered in other webinars. I think we covered it in another webinar. May not be for Object2VR, I can't remember. But anyway, this is covered in other, but you can see where I'm going with this. We've added some text. I want the text to auto size. It's going to get very snug, so therefore I'm going to give it a bit of padding all the way around. What else are we going to do with this? And I'm also going to give the text box, because it's square, it looks ugly, I'm going to give it a radius of about, I don't know, 10. All right, so you can see that going on there. So let's just, I don't know, save and close and just see how far we've got with this. Bring it in. You can see that that hotspot now is pinned to that template. So that hotspot image is pinned to the template, and you can see the text, and that placeholder has picked up the hotspot's title. Right, cool. So what we need to do is I want that text to show on mouse over. So what I'm going to do is deselect its visibility, go into the logic block, and we're going to say on mouse over parent, not mouse over, because if it's hidden, I've got nothing to mouse over, but I'm going to mouse over parent. So when that's true, I want it to show. Think about it. The parent is the hotspot template. So that is the parent element. So when we mouse over, even though we're using this icon, when the mouse is on the icon, it's actually hovering over this HT image hotspot template, and the text box is saying to itself, when there's a mouse event over my parent element, I'm going to show. All right, so let's just see what that does and looks like. He says, and you can see that working there. Cool. Right. Okay. So let's get back to the skin editor. And what I also want to do with this is, so right, well, when we've clicked this, I need it to obviously show an image. So I'm going to add another one of our variables, and this variable is going to be viz underscore image. Again, it's going to be a boolean, so true false, and it's going to be set to false because it's not going to be showing to start with. And because it's a viz, I'm going to move this up here only because I like to keep these in order so I know where they are. So all the visibles are grouped together and all the others are separate. So all the custom properties will be at the bottom and anything else is in the middle. That's my preference. You can leave them however you wish. That's up to you, but I like to do this. Right, so we've got this viz image. I can now give the icon the action of mouse click, set variable value to the viz image to make it true. All right. I'm also going to copy this and paste it into the screen tint, and we're going to set that to viz image to make it false. All right, so when we click on the screen tint, it will go false. Okay, right. The other thing I need to do here is on the hide all, see it had its own logic block. I'm going to introduce the variable viz image here. and I'm going to set that to OR. So if the viz info is true or the viz image is true, this is going to go to true, and what this one variable does is hide the information button, hides the desktop or mobile controls, it brings up the screen tint, it does a lot of work. So as long as we just update this one thing we're doing affects all of these different things in the skin. Before variables, it would have been, we would have needed an action in the button to, on mouse click, hide the information button, hide the desktop, another action, hide the mobile, another action, let's bring up the screen tint. So this is doing a lot of automation for us. This is why this is such a big deal in Object2VR. Okay, so that's that one done. So yeah, what we need to do now then is have something in the skin to display the image. So this is the element that we want, draw external image. So I'm just going to click, put that in the skin. I'm going to do what we did before. I'm going to anchor it in the center, double click, make it in the middle. I want it to be responsive, so I'm going to make it a percentage. So I'm just going to say 70 by 70%. That's the size I want it to be. Let's have a look at the visibility. I'm going to deselect visible, and I'm going to give it the trigger of when the variable viz image equals true, that equals true. So it's visible. Okay. And that should be that. So that's going to hide and show this. Do need to go back to the icon image, because we've got the action to hide and show this, but what we don't have is the action to load the image in, because of course this is just an external image loader. And we need to tell it what image to load. So again, how we do that is mouse click. I'm going to set the value. Now the value that we want to do is going to be the hotspots URL. Now if you know what the placeholder is, you can type it directly here. If you don't know what the placeholder is, you can open up the text editor and use the insert placeholder button. So under hotspots, under URL, click, and it's there. All right, so that's setting up the path. Now the target is still info, because that's the one at the top of the tree. We want to change that to external one. No, I don't. Let me rename that. He says, let's get out of there, just to keep everything nice and neat. I'm going to make this, I'm going to call this image underscore VIEWER image viewer. Now when you name something like this, when you're giving it when you're talking about actions, you can he says right, when we're talking about actions, so mouse click, set value. Now we're doing the placeholder, right? So hotspot URL. But when we do the target, now we can use the drop down, and you can see we don't have many here, but if you've got lots of elements in there, you can actually start typing in here as well. So if I was to type in IM, you can see straight away it says image loader. I could hit return and it's done. You know, or you could use the drop down menu and search through, but if you've got loads, sometimes it's actually easier just to start typing until you get to what you want. Okay, right, so we're going to add that in there. Now, like the skins tree, the topmost thing is what we see first. Yeah, it's the forward thing. In actions, the actions, if you like, the top one is executed first and the next one down. It probably doesn't matter too much in this instance, but me being me, I like to be quite fickle about these things. So what I'm going to do is I can drag this above here, because when we click the hotspot, I want it to first set the path to show the image in the external loader or the image loader, then show the image loader. I don't want it to try and show the image loader without an image. So that sort of makes sense to just think about the logic. Okay, so that makes sense to do that there. Okay, so let's see this in operation. I think we've actually got to a stage where this should give us an output. So let's create this, and when I click on this, there is the output. There we go. And if I click on the screen tint, because we gave it an action, I click on it and it's gone. How cool is that, right? Okay. Now the other thing is as well is when we click on the information, we are blurring out the or the actual scooter. But one of the things we can do, and this is sort of going off track a little bit, but I think it's worth doing because it's a nice touch. Let's double click in the skin to minimize that a bit. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop out to a website, and I'm gonna search for backdrop filter. There's one here, CSS, and we're going to visit my favorite website, W3 Schools. And what we're going to do here is grab this little bit of code here, and what this is a backdrop filter for WebKit, which so it's for Apple, and then the other one is for every other browser. And I'm going to copy that, and what this does is going to give you a blur effect. So let's go to the screen tint. I'm going to go down to the screen tints CSS. Now this, if you don't want to worry about this, then don't. It's not that geeky, as you can see. I'm just going to add that to it. So what that's going to do now is on the output is add some CSS effect of blurring. So when I click on this, you can see the scooter blurs out quite nicely. There's lots of backdrop filters. You could make it monochrome. So if you had a colorful object, you could make it, monochrome. Yeah, there's all sorts you can do with it. Okay. So getting back on track then, what we can also do with the image viewer is give that the same action, so on click to hide it. All right, so I could go to, well, I won't bother. I could have gone to screen tint, got the action, copy and paste it in here, but it's just as quick to go mouse click, set variable value, image equals false. There you go. So now if I click anywhere in the image or in the screen tint, it hides. Okay. Right, so I just want to do a little bit of a tidy up session now. So what I'm going to do is go down the image loader. We know we've got a background, that's fine. I want to get rid of the border. I didn't like that border around it. And the content scaling, I'm going to set that to min. And I'll tell you why. He says, actually, if I leave it to none and show you why rather than tell you. Because we want to make this responsive, right? So if I do this, it's not responsive. It's just not working for us. Okay, but if we go to the image loader and go to content scaling min, it will always keep it visible but scale it to its largest edge. So let's just, and also I want to put them, because at the moment the image, if it was small, would be sitting there. I want it in the center, so let's do that, and let's show you what that does. So let's just do this, spin it round, click. There it is, it's in the center, and if we move it around, it's completely responsive. Here we go, and we can click that to close it. And one little final thing I want to do with the image loader is set its hand to, or set it so we have the hand on it. Again, that gives the user some feedback that if I hover over it, it's a hand, it's interactive. That's why we like the hand. Okay. What I want to do now is style this in the way of colors. I want to colorize this to match the rest of the project because we've got black text, we've got black icons where we're going for this blue look. Now this is quite simple in the using the color tool. I'm going to select these two elements that I want to color. So that's the icon, so it's the SVG and the text box. I'm going to open up the color tool. And let's expand these colors. So here I can see the text background color is white, but I double click that. You'll see that I can pick a color. Now what I'm going to do, I know I showed this in the last, or in the first webinar, I think. I can't remember now, but I'm going to turn on so I can see this blue because I want to match everything to this blue. Okay, so what I'm going to do is open up the color picker. So expand these again so I can see which one element I'm dealing with. So the background color for the text box, I'm going to pick a screen. So I click that, click and hold, and I can drag this anywhere around the screen I want. So I'm going to go into this blue, click that, and we've now got the blue. I'm now going to drag that into my custom colors. So I don't have to do this again. Now that I've got this in the custom colors, I can use this anywhere I want to. So I'm going to click OK. Okay, and that's now colorized that background to blue. I'll just hide the icon again. So I can't for the minute. I will do after this. So the text element text is black. I want that white. And the SVG fill, so the SVG button, I want that blue as well. Because I've already got the custom colors there, I could just select it, I can click apply, and that should, if I hide that in the skin, you'll see that's now all blue. I can hide the logo, and then what we can do is save and export. Okay, so there's our pop-up. We hover over it, we've got the nice seat there. Have not put the hand icon on the point hotspot icon, need to do that, and we can see that we've got our image pop-up. Right, okay, now that we've built all this, let me just go to that icon and put the hand on there because I wanted to do that, just to tidy it out. Now that we've built this and we have the hardware in the skin, adding another image pop-up to the project is going to be really simple, because once you've built this, what you could do is select it all, save it as a component, or just save the skin, do whatever you want, and then you can bring these back in to, hang on, let's cancel that. So what I could do is click on this, click on that, right button click, create component from selection, and I could build a pop-up component which you can then save in the components toolbox. You can stick them under your own user defined, it would be in here, double click, and you could add these components with all its actions and variables, etc., into your new project. So that's quite good to do. Right, okay, so right, I don't want to get too digressed on that one, because what I want to show you now, because I just want to quickly show you adding another image, and then I'll break and go to Karen. So to add another image, now that we've added all the hardware, if you like, in the skin on your project, if I wanted to add something else, so let's just pick an image to use. What am I going to show you? I'm going to show you the speedometer. Right, so if I click on this image, I'm going to get the speedometer. We call them speedos in the UK, and they're not, and I'm not talking about budgie smugglers either when I do that. So anyway, we'll bring this in, drag it in.
When I first heard that, I had to giggle, because a Speedo to me is a bathing suit.
Yeah. Okay. So when we drag it in, you can see that it's automatically set up the hotspot to being an image. It's the type HT_image. So we're going to use the same hardware that we've just created. And all I need to do is just add the title. So this is EEDOMETER, speedometer. Right. Okay. Can go back to output. No, I won't. Because what I need to do, sorry, is add more instances, because we've set the hotspot up with creating one instance. I'll use the arrow key, I'll spin it round, double click, we'll add more instances of that. Again, I'm keeping it in line with these, I'm going to call them ghost hotspots, I don't know what we call them actually, but yeah, so these markers to show me that I'm trying to keep it nice and level. Let's just whiz back, make sure that we've got something similar this end, yeah. Okay, that one there. Right, so once that's done, we can go to output.
Hotspot hints, we call them.
Hotspot hints, well done.
I had to look that up.
And you can see that there it is under speedometer, and we can. It's all done. Now that we built it once for the under seat, we can add as many images as we want. However, what I do need to do is I want to show you how to create a visited little icon that pops up. But before we do that, I am going to throw it back to Karen, because I've been chatting for a while, and say, Karen, do we have any questions? Which is allow me to suck the last of my cold cup of tea.
Yeah, we actually have a question. We can answer it now or maybe later, because it's a little bit off topic, but you were talking about point hotspots and hotspot templates, and we have a question from Attaché, who is asking, is there any way to have a polygon hotspot template?
Not template, no, because you draw polygons, but the team is working on a way of, once you've defined a polygon, to be able to copy that into other images around. But the idea of a polygon is it's a perfect shape for what you are. So if you see the shape of this seat, that's a different shape to this image and a different shape to that image. So it's a little bit more difficult to define that. I mean, a point hotspot is a circular thing, right? It's easy. And it's a single graphic, again, easy. But when you're defining an area, that takes a little bit more thinking about. And the team have something in mind they're working on with that. So this will become a workflow which will become easier. And we're actually thinking about this being our next webinar. Time to be decided. But anyway, don't want to get too sidetracked with that. But yes, yes, we'll have polygons. No, there will be no template with it because polygons are different shapes in every image. So there you go. Right. Okay. Anything else, Garen? Oh, sorry.
Can you not use the hotspot proxy ID?
You can, but you've still got to draw and define the polygon.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And yeah, the way we're drawing them are different. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because every image it would be a different shape, wouldn't it? So, so I'm drawing around the seat. They're all different. So, anyway, any other questions?
Okay. No, that's it. I just wanted to get that out of the way. I knew someone would ask that question.
Right, cool. Okay, I do want to just cover then now the custom properties for hotspots, because we had custom properties for user data, so we could have stuff in the project file and it interacts with the skin. But we also wanted this to do the same thing with the hotspot. So if I select a hotspot, you can see here that in the hotspot properties, we've got the custom properties here. And I'm going to create one called visited. And I'm going to give it the variable name of visit, because I'm original. And we're going to make it a type of, again, it's a Boolean true, false, and its default will be false, because by default we haven't visited it yet, right? Okay, so, and again, if I go back to the output and open up the skin editor, we're going to get that same text telling us that a custom property from the project file has been added to the skin. Click OK, it opens up. If we have a look in the, let's open up a bit bigger, you'll now see that we've got this custom property called, or this variable called visit, true false set to, it's called visited is its description, and it's coming from hotspot. That's where it's coming from. Okay, so what I'm going to do then is in the hotspot icon, I'm going to give it the action to say that on mouse click, set variable value visit to true. So when we click this particular hotspot, we're setting that value to true. Now the thing you've got to get your head round is this is per hotspot. So we've defined 2 image hotspots in our project. So this will only affect the one you click. So if I click and open up the speedometer and close it, you'll see that we've visited the speedometer, but we haven't visited the underseat storage. So before I prove that fact, let's actually carry on and finish building it so you can see it. So I'm going to open up the components toolbox, I'm going to select icons, I'm going to select the icon set that I want. There's a little check mark there, I'm going to double click that and close that. I'm going to, what am I going to do with this? I'm going to call this visit underscore image, and I'm going to drag that and make that a child of the icon. And whilst I'm at it, I'm just going to double click, open up the color picker and change its color to blue. Apply. There we go. Now what I'm going to do here is just drop it. It's a little bit big actually, so what I may do is just drop that down in size to 18 by 18, and we'll just, I don't know, plop it there. All right, so there we go. So that's where it's going to be. And what I'm going to do is deselect visible, and we're going to say that when the variable visit equals true, that's going to then show. But don't forget, this is per hotspot. It isn't global like the other variables. Right, okay, so let's just see this in operation. So here is our 2 images. I click on this one, see it, close it. We've got our little check mark, so it's been there. We've not been here, click that, close it, we've now been there. So this is using the custom property to create an interaction with the hotspot, but the thing to note with this, it's a singular hotspot. Okay. Right, now I can see the time is really whizzing past. It's going a lot faster than I thought it would be, and I do apologise because I wanted to do so much more. But what I'm going to do now is show you, now that we've built all the basics and done all the hard work and we've done all the styling and everything else, how easy it is now to add more or different types of hotspots. Okay, so how are we going to do it then? Right, well, first thing I'm going to do then is I want another hotspot template for, let's build a PDF hotspot. Let's do a PDF pop-up. Okay, so again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to define the hotspot first. So let's just get round to the front of the scooter. Here we go. I'm going to grab a PDF and I'm going to drop it in the front there. I'm just going to stick it above the light. Okay, so it's defined as a PDF. It's ht_PDF. It's defined the path of the PDF it's going to open. So all I need to do now is just define a few more of these so we can see it in the output. There we go. So I'll just do a few. I won't do too many. And let's just go back to a couple. And one over here. And one over here. That'll do. Right. Okay. So that's us defined the hotspot, and we've added the instances in the images we want it to. So how can we now, he says in speech marks or quotation marks, quickly add a PDF pop-up? Well, what we can do, because we've done so much work with this hotspot, I'm going to copy and paste it. Boom, done, right? I'm just going to expand that. And when I click on this, I'm going to say, right, its name is ht_PDF. So that's now going to link to that. This is why, if you looked, I've put the word image at the back of everything, because now it's a simple case of just changing the name. Now, PDF. And we just do this last one, PDF. All right, so I've now completely changed this to PDF. But what we need obviously to do as well is to introduce a visible PDF. So I'm going to do that. So under the variables, vis_PDF. Again, it is going to be a Boolean, true, false. I'm going to move that and put it underneath just to keep all the visibles together. Under the hide all, I'm going to add this. So it automatically deals with hiding the controller and everything else. So it's now going to be set that to an OR. So you can see if either any of those are open, it's going to work its magic, hiding everything and showing the screen tint. Speaking of screen tints, we will need the action to hide it. So I'm just going to copy and paste. There we go. So instead of the viz image, we say PDF and set that to false. So that was really simple to do. A lot of copy and pasting, as I say, is going to be going on because that's what I like to do. What I need to do now is to define the PDF viewer. So here it is, our PDF element. Click on that. Click on in the skins, the tree. So let's double click and just call this our PDF_viewer. Again, I'm going to center it in the center of the skin, double click where it says position. If you double click any of these, by the way, so if I said 20 there, you can, and say 30 there, right? You can double click just on these symbols to center it individually, or you can click the word position to do it in one go. Up to you. I'm going to send this to set this to percentage for its size, and again use 70% for its size. Again, I'm going to make it so under visible, we're going to deselect it so it's hidden to start with, and it will show by using the variable PDF, viz PDF. When that's true, it will show. All right. So quick recap. This will hide and show with the variable toggling, the PDF variable toggling. The screen tint has the action to hide it, and what we need to do now is give the button. We need to change some of these actions because they were obviously set to open a image and not a PDF. So what I'm going to do here is the image itself is an image icon. So we can either change that if I've got one, but this button here opens up the components toolbox. So I'm going to change the button scheme that I wanted and type in PD, and you see PDF, double click, and I've changed the icon. Simple as that. And I double click and I'm going to recolor it. Bang, done. Simple as that, done, right? We're going to cursor down and we're going to say, have a look at this. So it's going to say mouse click, image viewer, right? So I'm going to take the, file path of the PDF, and I'm now going to change its target. It says image viewer, but I could just type in PD. It says PDF viewer, and it's a PDF file. So that's that action that's been changed. I then want to adjust the logic block, or sorry, the variable. So we need to change that to PDF and equals true. Okay. He says done. And that really may be all I need to do. So let's just save that. Open it up. You'll see that we've got the PDF there. When I hover over it, we didn't give it a title. You can see we've got a little blue blob there. So let's tidy that up straight away. So go into the title and type that. So let's just call that ROCHURE brochure, and go back to output. See the brochure is now coming on, and when we click it, you'll see that the PDF is there. We can click anywhere else and it hides. When we click the PDF, you'll see, because we set up that hide all logic block, it's, you know, it doesn't matter what we click now, everything gets hidden. So that's the PDF. Now this is going to be very, very similar to do for, say, a YouTube video or something like that. I don't think I've got time now because we've gone over. I mean, if everyone's happy for me to carry on and do a YouTube video, I'm happy to carry on. So if we can, you know, get some feedback on that. But, you know, we try and keep these to an hour. We've just gone over the hour. But you can see how quick it was to add just a PDF one by copy and pasting. Again, we can copy and paste and just add a video element to it. So what's the consensus? Shall I just add this as well? It ain't going to take long, and it's going to be part of the video. Should I? Karen, have we got any feedback on that?
I think so, and no one is saying no. So
Awesome.
I would
just go for it. Right. Okay.
Yeah,
So
I mean, we're still here, so yeah.
okay. So what we're going to do then is set up a variable. It needs to be viz because we want to hide and show a underscore. Now, the reason why I'm saying video underscore YouTube, because we can have a URL video, a local video, we can have a Vimeo video, and we can have a YouTube video. So I'm defining which type of video that we want, not text. There we go. So that's that done. I'm going to move that underneath our visibles. I'm now going to add this to our list of variables for our hide everything and set that to or. That's important because it's either or. If that was left as an and, I would have to show the PDF and a YouTube video before this to work. But on the or, it only needs one of these to be working. Right, so that's that in there. I'm going to, again, do what we did before, copy and paste. There we go. Now, the YouTube video will be, the skin ID will be video underscore YouTube. Now, just to prove that point, what I'm going to do is just save and close the skin, and let's just add the video. So I've got a open it up, open link with Safari. This is the video. It has got adverts, but don't worry about that. So all I'm going to do here is just select the starting image I want to show the video in. So let's go to this one, and you can see here there is the URL. We can just click, drag and drop. I'm just going to drop that in. All right, and it's there. I've actually realized I haven't created did we create the PDF one? We did. Right, okay. So yeah, I'm going to stick it there. All right, so you can see now. So let's just close that YouTube video. So with a drag and drop, it's actually added not only the short code for the video, it's added the HT video underscore YouTube. That's why I chose that name, because that's our default. I will say that you can actually type in whatever name you want as a hotspot ID, but as long as you click the list and pick it from the list, as long as you've got the same ID from the hotspot template to here, then it will link. All right, so I've done everything there. So let's just add our series of hotspots, or our instances as we call them. That'll do. I only do a few. So let's go back to the output and open up the skin. So I've got all my hotspots defined. So let's just go here. I'm going to double click what I will do actually to save my time, I'm going to highlight video YouTube, copy that, and I can just paste, and paste. So that defines all of those. The icon itself, I need to change that. Again, we can do that. Go to the components toolbox, select the type of images and type in video. That'll do. Let's grab that one. Again, we'll change its color to match. I don't have to worry about anything else other than the actions. Now, what I do need to do before I do the actions is define a video player, or add the video element. So here it is. Again, we're going to do exactly what we did before. I'm going to center it, double click, put it in the center. I'm going to set its size to percentage, so it's going to be responsive. Oh, not 1000, 100 will do. No, actually 70 will do. And we'll do 70 by 70. Because we need surround to be able to click and to close it, right? Okay. So that's the size of it. Under video, this is important because we support a few different video types. You need to select the right type. So it's going to be YouTube. That's the one we're going to do. And we can have autoplay. So when we click it, it autoplays, and the controls. It's deselected at start with, but if you want to have the pause and play buttons in the YouTube video, you will need to select that. Let's just leave that deselected for the minute so you can see what's going on there. I'm going to deselect its visible like we've done before, go into the logic block, and we're going to go to the variable, the YouTube video. If that equals true, show it. Okay, cool. The only thing we need to do now is go to the screen tint, because we need to copy and paste. So mouse click, set variable value, YouTube video equals false. So that enables us to close it when we click the border and surround. Okay, that should be it. Surprisingly took no time at all, and I'm a bit worried I've forgotten something, but let's have a look. See, there's the icon, there's the, ooh, that's working, and no. Ah, right, yeah, the actions in the, set video actions. Right, thank you, Thomas. Right, yes, so the actions, I stopped them because I hadn't defined the viewer yet, so the actions will be mouse click, PDF viewer, so we actually do need to, well actually, no, let's just keep this sensible. Right, so this is going to be, I'm just going to do, I'll just call it VIDEO. Video YouTube viewer. Right, okay, so now I can define its actions because I've got them to define. I've got the elements in there. So here we can call it so video viewer. So yeah, we could have taken it from a list as well, but you can quite easily see that I can type it in. We need to set the variable to true for the YouTube video. That needs to be true, and I don't have to worry about that because obviously we're still setting the visibility true for this particular point hotspot. So that should, in all fairness, give us a, there you go, a pop-up video. We could have quite easily done dragged in a Vimeo video, or if you've got a video that's on your server somewhere, just, you know, type in the URL, drag it in, and obviously we can have videos like MPEG-4s. We can bring those in as well. Okay, we did actually cover quite a lot there. I hope it wasn't too intense, but yeah, once you've defined a pop-up, as you saw, it was, you know, apart from adding the individual elements like PDF and video, you can just copy and paste, and some of the actions copy and paste. It becomes relatively quick to do. And if you've built something like a video pop-up, again, you could just highlight those two things, go to create components, so you could create your own style video pop-up. You could let's do it. So let's create a so let's do that. Create a component from selection, under user defined, or you can create your own. And let's just call this PDF. Ooh. Pop up and click OK. There it is. It's in the components toolbox under the user defined. If I was to build another skin, so let's just close and open up this skin randomly. I can open that up, go to user defined. There it is, double click, and there is my PDF pop-up ready to go with another project. Boom, done. So that's the cool thing about being able to save them as the components and the component toolbox. Perhaps we don't go on enough about it. We should. It's a very powerful tool. The component toolbox gives you all these. These are all pre-built from our different skins, and you can add your own to it. You can also pick up loads of SVGs, and we also have some Lottie animations with some of these as well. But yeah, okay, right. Well, I think I've done this to death. I think I've covered everything. I hope, as I say, I hope that wasn't too long. The only thing I haven't covered, and I probably won't now, to be honest, it's too late, was to set up another variable to hide HTs, so hide HT, and then we could have added a button, and I could have selected all of these like that. All right, we could have gone into the visibility and selected a variable like the hide HT, and what that does then is allow you to click a button to hide just the hotspots so you can see the object. Yeah, it's if you've seen what we've just done, it isn't a big stretch to do that. Anyway, I think I'm done. Karen, is there any other questions?
No, there aren't any more questions, but a question did come in earlier that we answered via messaging here, but I thought maybe other people would be curious as well. So Atishay had asked if we can actually control these variables using some JavaScript API, and the question is yes. And we have an API that can control these variables.
Hang on, do you want me to show the API page?
Yeah, sure.
So let's go to the website, go to documentation, beta 4. He says reference, and we should have JavaScript API. And there it is. This is a page full of all the API calls. There you go. In all their glory.
Yeah, so I think that's good to know. And yeah, that's it, I think. Unless anyone has any other questions or...
Yeah, speak now, forever hold your pieces.
Yeah.
As they say. No? Right, okay, cool. Well, I think the next one we're going to probably be looking at is the polygons. And polygons, basically, you draw a shape and you can open up a web page, but using things like hotspot proxies, you can actually use a polygon to open up anything we've done today. So you could actually get a polygon to open up a video pop-up or an image pop-up with some just a little bit of alterations, and you can define a polygon, and it can be a shape, and you can hover over it and make it visible or not visible, or use it to define areas of landscapes and things like that. They're very, very versatile, and I think there's enough there to warrant a whole webinar just on polygons. So I think that's the intention. When, I think it's going to be a TBA, but yeah, that's the intention, because I believe that we're still working on the polygons. We're going to polish them up a little bit better and probably do another release before we do the next webinar covering that. But with that all said, I think I'm done. Karen, over to you. Do you have anything else to input?
I have nothing else to add. I think that was a pretty thorough webinar. So I appreciate that.
In my head, it was a lot quicker and simpler. And I did go through it a couple of times. Go, oh yeah, click. Oh yeah, this be done and dusted in 45 minutes. He says, hour and 15 minutes later. Yeah, okay.
Well, I think it's an hour and 15 minutes. You stopped a few times, and it's actually quite impressive what you can do in that short amount of time.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
I think.
So it's all cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, I'm gonna sort of sign off and say goodbye until the next webinar, and hope to see you all there too. And Karen, do you want the last word to say goodbye?
Yeah, no, just say goodbye. Have a good weekend, and we'll see you when we see you.
Absolutely. Right. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Hi, this is just a little add-on video as we felt that we didn't quite finish the webinar off because we ran out of time, but what we want to do is basically just finish this project off, and that means that when we open up a pop-up, you'll see that you can still see the hotspots. We want to get rid of those because obviously when we're opening up pop-ups, we're hiding all of the controllers, and we want to hide the hotspots as well, and we want a little button here that when we click it, hides the hotspots so you can view the object without any of the hotspot icons getting in the way. So that's what we're going to do now. So let's just head back to the skim and see how we're going to do that. Right, so I'm just going to open up all the hotspots that we created. I'm going to select all the image icons or the hotspot icons, and what we're going to say with the icons there is on the variable it was the hide all. If that's true, we're going to hide all of these hotspot icons. So we're just going to click close, save and export, and here we go. So now you can see we've got lots of icons here. Then when we open up the pop-ups, you can see they're all gone. Okay, cool. So that's that little bit that we just wanted just to add. Now what we want to do is add a button that will toggle on and off the hotspots. Now it's going to be very similar to what we've been doing, so I'm just going to hide the video viewer, or the YouTube video viewer, and we're going to go to the components toolbox again. Oh no, not color tool. Go to the components toolbox again, and we're going to select icons, and then the different types or the different icon types, and what we're going to use is these two icons here. All right, so they're quite good, so that can show the hotspots and that can hide them. Right, so as we did before, we're going to set the size of these to 40 by 40. I'm going to give them a surrounding container, so we just click the container with those two active, just click on it and it puts a container around it. So I'm just going to call this hide hotspots, and what we want to do here is only have the relevant hotspot show. Now before I go any further, what we're going to do is add another variable. I'm just going to call it viz underscore ht. Alright, this is also going to be a true false boolean, and I'm going to move that up underneath the viz video, so try and keep all the vizes together, which is what we've been doing. Okay, so now that I've got a variable for this, so hide the viz ht, what we're going to say is that this one, when viz ht, so viz ht is true, we're going to hide this one. Okay, and this SVG is going to start off hidden, and we're going to say when viz ht is true, that is going to show. Okay, so that's the variable, and what we need to do then is just give the parent container the action. So what we're going to do is go mouse click, set variable value, viz ht, and rather than an equals true or false, we are going to set the not. So as said before, when we click this, whatever the value is, it's going to change it, so this becomes a toggle. So technically, if I open this up in the skim preview, you can see when I click that, that now toggles backwards and forwards. Okay, cool. Obviously we need to position it and colorize it as well because it's a black icon. And also what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the container to cursor to the hand. Now these by default all the elements are set to inherit, so if I set the parent container to hand, these will inherit those as well, so you'll see that it changes to the hand on that button as well. Right, okay, so we're just going to select both of these and colorize it. So I'll go to the color tool, double click. If you remember rightly, we set the color that we wanted. There we go. So we're going to set that and apply, and we are going to locate the buttons in the right place. So I'm just going to show the information button, and I'm going to set that there. Now I know for a fact that the information button is 10, not 1, 10 pixels out, and it probably needs to be about 60 pixels down. Okay, so that's where that button is. Right, so that's what the button is doing. I'm just going to name these as well. So I'm going to hide HT, and we're going to show underscore HT. And so now what we need to do again is select all the icon images. So that's the video, PDF and image pop-up. Go to the visible and just add another condition. So here we've got hide all when it's true. And now I'm going to say when the variable visHT, and we're going to do an OR. So if the visHT is true, it's going to hide those icons, or if hide all is on, it's going to hide those icons. Okay, so that should be the finishing touches to this project. So let's just see the output. So here we've got then, if I open up the a pop-up, you'll see that it hides all the icons, and when we click this button, all the icons hide, so we can see the project without the hotspots getting in the way. There you go, that's just to finish off the webinar video, and as always, thanks for watching.